Hello, my name is Michael Garrick, and this is PoppinCulture Movie Reviews. My guest today is salesman and comedian David Bakker. Thank you so much for coming on to the movie reviews.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
The movie that we will be reviewing today is Groundhog Day. David chose the movie. Before we get into it, this will be a 100% spoiler review. Before we spoil the movie, David, do you think they should watch it?
Yes, absolutely. One of my favorite movies of all time. 100%.
I completely agree. Past this point, everything else will be spoilers. David, I'll let you kick it off.
Yeah, so I can start with like the synopsis of the movie. Bill Murray is the protagonist and the star of the film, and one of my favorite Bill Murray movies. But it's set in Pennsylvania. He plays a weatherman who is kind of a local celebrity, but he thinks he's way cooler than what he really is.
Yeah.
So he's kind of this arrogant a-hole kind of dude, and he goes to cover the Groundhog Day festival in Punxsutawney, which is like this little podunk just obligation he has to do for the news network. And he hates it. He thinks he's above it. So, it's February, so it's cold. It's just this bleak little town, and he's around people he hates. They're like these small town hick people, as he describes them. And, he does the report, and then there's a blizzard, and then he has to spend the night there, and then he gets stuck in a time warp where he relives the same day, February 2nd, over and over and over and over again. And it's basically Bill Murray's own personal hell, where he he has to like deal with the fact that he's stuck here in this place that he views as very beneath him. And he goes through a lot of character development before the movie is over. But there's a lot of funny supporting characters around him. And not only is it like laugh out loud hysterical, it's really interesting, like the kind of the philosophy behind some of it. So yeah, that's kind of the movie from an intro perspective.
Nice. Yeah, that is the synopsis. The way the movie begins, do you feel like that was a great opening shot?
Very 90s.
Yes.
The movie's very 90s. It had, just wide angle shots. I feel like the credits kind of, roll forever. It's an old movie, so it's kind of a throwback. But yeah, I do like the opening scene, and the introduction of the characters is really good because they portray Phil Connors as Bill Murray's character. They portray him as the arrogant kind of celebrity weatherman right out of the gate. And then they introduce the new producer who's I forget her name. She's like a model, and he like really wants her. They got that right out of the gate at the beginning. So yeah, I think the story is really well told, and the opening does set the stage for that.
Nice. When it comes to the holiday itself, I grew up a Jehovah's Witness, so I don't know much about holidays. Is Groundhog Day a big day for some cultures?
I don't know. Where are you from originally? Are you from down here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know a lot about Groundhog Day except for this movie, and I don't know that Groundhog Day would have that much fanfare aside from this movie, but I know up north it's a big deal for winter being over because it's so brutal. Like I'm from Michigan, and like, oh my gosh, it is awful. Like just the gray and the whole point of the groundhog seeing a shadow or not is supposed to be like an omen of if winter's going to be over soon or not. So I guess we Northerners care about it, but yeah, it's really uneventful. I think that's kind of the point of the movie too. Is it's like there's nothing special about it, but he's stuck in this place. It's his own kind of hell that he finds himself in. But
as the time goes past, how do you like the way they situate with him realizing that, oh wow, I am living the same day over and over again?
I think I'm really impressed with how they shot the movie and made it believable, the phases he goes through, because to actually practically shoot it, they had to shoot the same scenes identically over and over and over, where every actor in the scene is playing it the same way, except Bill Murray is experiencing it differently. So it's kind of like a Twilight Zone type deal. They pulled it off amazingly well, and Bill Murray's a really talented actor. So, but yeah, I love it because like his initial reaction is just panic.
Yeah.
Like what the hell? Like, I just did this, and everybody else seems to be in on this joke, or I am like, what is going on? And you know, at first he's like panicking, realizing that, you know, this is what's happening to him. And then because he hasn't changed yet, he's still a selfish asshole. The first thing he does to like take advantage of his situation is really selfish. He's sitting at the bowling alley with these guys and he says, what would you guys do if you were stuck in one place and every day was exactly the same and nothing that you did mattered? And they said, well, that's basically what my life is now. So they're like just, you know, local drunks, I guess. And then one of them says, hey, we could do whatever we wanted. We would have no consequences. We had no hangovers. We could do whatever we want. So then he just decides to just, you know, throw caution to the wind, break the law, eat whatever he wants, smoke cigarettes. He uses like information that he learns to sleep with women, which doesn't sound like a good thing to do, obviously, but it's funny in the movie.
It was the 90s.
Yeah, it was the 90s. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's funny how much of an a-hole he is. It's obvious that's not what you want to be. So he robs a bank because he knows exactly when the truck's going to be there. What else does he do? He's just sitting at a coffee shop at one point, just eating donuts. And he says, yeah, I'm God. He says, I'm a God. I'm immortal. Like every day, like, you know, nothing can hurt him. He's not getting fatter by eating. He can smoke. It doesn't matter. So, you know, that's kind of his first phase. And then eventually gets really depressed. And there's other cycles.
Yeah.
But
why do you think he didn't try to leave the city or the town?
Well, they actually have a plot device that keeps him from leaving. So the blizzard keeps them there.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So he can't leave.
Yes, I forgot all about that. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Well, I think that just makes it convenient enough to tell the story. He's stuck there, so that's like hell for him. And
I mean, it's a smart plot device. Like, it's brilliant because, I don't know how I forgot that, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, like that blizzard does,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a lot of interesting themes in it. Like, because obviously, comedies I think usually have happy endings if they're done well. And I don't know a lot about like theater stuff, but like I think that's how tragedies, everybody dies at the end, like in Shakespeare or whatever. And then comedies, it's generally like a happy ending.
Yeah, of course. You don't want the crowd to leave like upset.
Yeah, and a lot of times it ends in a marriage or something celebratory. And this ends in a positive way. So to see Phil go from, you know, arrogant to panic to like taking advantage of the situation selfishly to depression, it was really impressive how they did that. And I thought it was great how they pulled it back around. But the amount of days he had to go through, you know, misery to get to become a better person was believable. Like, it was so long, and he had to basically hit bottom completely to where he killed himself a bunch of times.
I wanted to get to that.
Yeah, we could talk about that too.
How clever were the deaths to you?
I mean, they were hilarious. I think the first death was the funniest because he steals the groundhog, and just because he hates the groundhog as a symbol of this thing, so he steals the groundhog in the truck and runs it off the cliff, and then Larry walks up and says he might be okay as he hits and then the truck explodes, and then when he gets in the bathtub with the toaster.
That's my favorite one. That
was pretty funny. Yeah. It is hard to make death funny. It's I don't even know exactly, but it is funny, you know? I don't know exactly how they...
I think it's funny because we just don't know the other side. Like, it's just that mind of that empty space where like, yeah, he did that shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was dedicated to that. He did that.
Yeah. And it was kind of like he deserved it because he doesn't start killing himself until after the girl he's really in love with, he tries to win her over, but he's doing it all wrong. He hasn't really changed. He's just trying to win her over by like memorizing everything about her, saying the right things. And he ultimately just wants to sleep with her, but he doesn't really love her. He's still selfish. So after that fails, that's when he starts killing himself. And it's not until after that fails, he can't even kill himself to get out of this, that he starts doing nice things for other people.
Yeah, not to mention, he can only sleep with this woman in 24 hours.
That's true. Because, of course, maybe if he could get it done, maybe he'd just sleep with her every night and just keep doing that again and again. But ultimately, that's hollow, too, because she's not in on it, you know. they're not really together.
Yeah.
They're still in two different dimensions, kind of.
And still, you're still using. Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm. And there's some interesting things about like what it, to me, like I don't know if this is like exactly right or whatever, but the what it took for him to get out of his selfishness, like he had to do selfless acts. And I think it's also cool. He started playing the piano. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
He started learning the piano, and he takes lessons that first day, and then over the course of, however many days, he's like a master at the piano. So I thought it was interesting how creativity played a part in his, rebirth or whatever as like a good person. I think that's an interesting comment. I don't know. Like I felt like that too. Like I had to be creative to kind of evolve as a person. So I thought that was an interesting detail. And he really had to kind of let go of any expectation of, personal gain he could have before he kind of woke up from that.
Nice. How do you feel the pacing was in this movie?
Bro, I think it was perfect.
Me too.
Yeah. And the pacing was, I think it was really well done because like they'd have certain scenes where, like they'd show a lot of the days back to back, and then there'd be some where they'd shoot, like he'd do something, he'd mess up, and then it'd go right back 10 seconds earlier, and then he'd do it again, and then it would be like a lot of rapid fire. But you understood that that was implied that he was reliving that same day again. So yeah, I thought they handled it really well, and again with I feel like with comedy too, you don't want to get too sappy and sentimental, but this one did have a good message that was kind of a believable, really satisfying, happy ending that wasn't sappy.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But
when I say good pacing, like this is one of the movies where I feel like no scenes. This movie, all the scenes that were in it, nothing felt like they could have deleted it. No, everything felt like it should have been there, and I'm glad it was there.
Yeah, it served a purpose.
Yes. How did you feel about the soundtrack?
Gosh, I'm trying to remember the specific songs. I mean, I think the soundtrack was good because I don't remember the specific songs because it seamlessly went with the emotion of whatever was going on. I mean, there's action in this movie, believe it or not. There's some special effects, between some of the suicide scenes and
some 90s special effects.
Yeah, some 90s special effects. I don't know if they actually drove that truck off the canyon. That was pretty it looked like they actually did.
Yeah.
Yeah, was a question about the soundtrack or the yeah
like the music.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think the music did blend well with the with what was going on, and again, very 90s, which I appreciate.
Yeah,
it kind of fits in that same type of like the Tommy Boy movies or like
it's that winter feel too.
Yeah, for sure, and yeah, again, I mean, I like the character arc stuff with him kind of coming out of it. To me, it reminded me of other movies, like where there's like a fantasy scenario, like Liar Liar, where you can't tell a lie for 24 hours. Pretty similar. Like he's kind of a dick at the beginning, and then he has his world rocked, and he really has to hit bottom. And as that's happening, it's hilarious. And then at the end, it kind of pays off. So I like movies like that where they kind of have they introduce some elements to.
Yeah, it actually has character development instead of just like this guy's always been good and he's going to always be good.
Yeah. You like to watch people figure out flawed people figure out their way. So
yeah, whenever I catch a movie, I'm like, so he's just perfect. Okay.
Yeah. I like people that fail. I want to see people hit bowbottom. That's really fun. That's really funny to me.
And then watch them come back up.
Yeah. They got to come back up.
Yeah. How'd you like the cast?
Oh, I love the cast. Bill Murray's brother is in the movie. I thought that was interesting.
What character did he play?
They cast him as like the head of the Groundhog Festival. So he's the guy who's chasing him down when Phil steals the groundhog. He's obviously kind of an ancillary character. The guy who plays Ned Ryerson, the insurance salesman who, gosh, I forget his name, but he's a comedian. He was in Silicon Valley. He had some other roles after that. He was hilarious. I mean, that's still quoted today, like Ned Ryerson. And That was in a Super Bowl commercial actually a couple years ago when they recreated the Groundhog Day.
I think it was a Bud Light commercial.
What's that?
I believe it was a Bud Light commercial.
I think it might have been a car commercial. I'm not sure exactly.
Okay.
But I know the Super Bowl fell on February 2nd, which is why they had that kind of special. The Super Bowl was on Groundhog Day. So yeah. Gosh, I wish I had the name of the actress in front of me because she's the main, like the love interest of Bill Murray opposite. She did a great job.
Yes.
I mean, she's very sincere. She was like a perfect kind of
yin to his yang.
Yeah. Exactly. And I really like the camera guy too. He was kind of like this goof who, Bill Murray could kind of give shit to in the beginning, and get a lot of good jokes out of. Because I think even Bill Murray, when he was in his selfish state, I think that was really funny when he's going after people. I like watching that sometimes, like a cynical person kind of just being a dick, and that that can really work with comedy. So,
yeah. 1 through 10, what would you give this movie?
Oh gosh, probably a 9. Because a 10, I don't know. It's hard to give a perfect 10, but it's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's one that you could rewatch again and again, just like the movie relives the day again and again. But yeah, they don't make movies like that as much anymore.
No, this movie is aged perfectly. Like it's something that you can definitely watch and be like, this is good. Like, no matter what.
Yeah, it's cool. You can watch it when like a lot of the technology's old. You can tell the film's a lower quality, and it's still entertaining.
That just shows how good the story is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you believe that this movie has become a part of pop culture?
Yeah, I think so. I think maybe young people nowadays wouldn't appreciate it quite as much. I don't know. I'd like to think they maybe would, but I don't know a lot of. They may not know of it, but yeah, I think the fact they made a Super Bowl commercial about it, and it's still very quotable, and Bill Murray's a cult legend.
Yeah,
I think that was a big part of his fame. I mean, between Ghostbusters, this, couple other movies, Kingpin, it's in that group of movies. So yeah, I think it definitely influenced pop culture.
Nice. Well, thank you for coming on to the movie review. Is there anything you'd like to say to your fans? A couple of fans. Yeah. If you want to follow me on Instagram, David Bakker 7 with 2 Ks, Bakker, and then on YouTube, David Bakker 16. Or just come out to a show where Michael's performing, or Greenville, Columbia, whatever. We post where we're at on that. So, like I said, thank you again for coming on, and you guys have an amazing day.